All right, today we're going to be talking about dynamic discounting with iPayables. And as we look at dynamic discounting and how it's rising in popularity, we have to understand a little bit about where dynamic discounting comes from and why it's actually possible today. Because years ago it wasn't really as possible as because of some of the tools we have today. It really comes down to the payables automation flow. In the past with paper, it really just took a long time to move that paper around, get it matched out of purchase orders and file cabinets. If it's non-PO, to get it routed for approval through whatever interoffice mail. And today with payables automation and all that being automated, we can take a process that used to take 15 to 25 days and bring it down to 2 to 5 days. So let's look at how that's happening. The first part is just on how invoices are received today. At iPayables, there's a strong push here to get everyone electronic. So we'll go out to your suppliers and talk to them about submitting files via FTP or EDI, just getting your mass amounts of invoices electronic through files. If they're not that technically advanced, well then maybe they can load files into Excel and save it as CSV and upload that CSV through our online vendor portal. And then the lowest level is just for online entry, where they log into the online vendor portal and key in their invoices. So any of those, we're getting invoices electronically now. And then in a worst case scenario, we have paper sent to a PO box where our group images it and indexes it so that it's now electronic. But for the most part, we're trying to get everything electronic and avoid paper altogether. Once that information is in there, and most of the time it's just a click of a button until 5 minutes later it's routed on somebody's desk for approval. So that customer approval can happen one of two ways. If it is a non-PO invoice, then it'll route for approval, looking at what approval limits people have, how it gets to that first one, hierarchies, next in line, all sorts of robust features to get that invoice approved and back into the system. Those, depending on the complexity of the organization, usually take between 2 and 6 days to get invoices approved, and that might be one approval, that might be 14 approvals. Escalation emails, vacation reroutes all help to make sure that that process continues without interruption. The other side of it is for the PO invoices. When a supplier submits an invoice, we're checking right up front to see whether or not that matches the purchase order, to do a two-way match. If it doesn't match, we give the supplier an error message telling them they need to fix that invoice or respond back to the customer and fix the purchase order. This puts the burden of that first two-way match exception back onto the shoulders of the supplier, takes it off your accounts payable purchasing group, and the supplier would much rather take care of the problem themselves because they know they don't have to then wait for to find out that there's a problem till 4 or 6 weeks later sometimes. After it's gone through the two-way match, it goes into a three-way pending the receipt if there are receiving, if you are doing three-way match, and then it's finally approved and can go through for payment. Actually though, at this point, once it is approved, that's when we have a unique opportunity now to revisit that discount capture we've been talking about. Again, the main reason that we can do dynamic discounts and really capitalize discount capture now is because that whole process of matching and approving invoices is taking now an average of about 3.5 days. It's just very quick. And so if you've got vendors with 30 or 45 or sometimes even 60-day terms and their invoice is approved at day 4, well, that's when we send out emails or letting people know, hey, you've got invoices that are approved, you want to get paid early. All of this, suppliers can tell that everything's ready to go. Now they're just waiting for contractual terms. And that's where we start looking a little bit more at, okay, what are we going to do with these discounts? If you've got standard contractual discounts, the first thing that should be obvious is that with an average of 3.5 days, you're going to be able to get most all of your standard discounts. So if you've got a 2, 10, 30 term, you're going to get those day after day because it just doesn't take 10 days to approve invoices or match get them completely matched anymore. It takes just a few days. So that's the first bullet point there, standard discounts. Next after that, you might still have some discounts where for whatever reason, it's still going to take 12 or 15 days. You've got it in dispute, you're having discussions, you finally figure out, okay, it's okay for us to pay this, but your 10 days or 5 days, whatever your discount term, is already past due. At that point, for auto sloping, we're going to take and prorate that discount based on when you're actually paying it. So if it's approved at day 14 and we're paying at day 15, and it had a discount term of 10 days on there, we're going to take and prorate that discount. So instead of 2%, maybe you're only going to take a 1.7% discount, making it fair for the supplier because, hey, you're not paying as early as they wanted, but you're also not taking as big a discount as was agreed to. It's prorated, so it's fair. And then the last piece of it is the early payment. And this is related to suppliers where you don't have a discount. You don't have a contractual discount. And so for those suppliers, we're going to send out emails letting them know their invoice is approved. They've got 21, 35, however many days until they're actually going to be paid, and would they like to be paid early? The supplier receives an email letting them know that their invoice has been approved and is ready to be paid, even though it's not actually due yet. The supplier can just go in, click on the link that's going to bring up their invoice. After clicking on the link, the supplier can see their invoice that's available for early payment. It's got their invoice date and due date on it, and they can see right here, yes, pay me on this date. So all they really have to do is come in here and say, wow, it'd be great if I could get paid next Monday. When they do that, it calculates the discount for them. They might look at it and say, wow, that's a little steep. I guess I don't need it next Monday. Payroll's not until a week from then. What if I do it on the 23rd? That gives me enough time. 1.4%, that looks great. They can then agree to the discount and terms, and they're ready to go. It's also important to talk about the different pricing models for dynamic discounting in the marketplace. Important to iPayables, there's no license fee for this. It's just part of the service. There's no discount share on the standard terms that you have in your contracts. So if you've got a 2% 10 term, that's something your purchasing group has negotiated, and that's just something that you don't need to pay anybody for that term. You've already earned it. We only charge a discount share on auto sloping and dynamic discounting, basically when we're calculating the discount for you. That's very different than a lot of what else is out in the marketplace. Most other places will look at how much you're charging or how much you're earning today in discounts, and they'll want a piece of anything and above and beyond that. A lot of places are charging a license fee to have the dynamic discounting software on top of your electronic invoicing solution or your payables automation solution. Again, there's none of those fees with iPayables. It's just a simple discount share on only those discounts where we calculate the discount. And with that, we have approved invoices that have been submitted, matched, routed, approved, discounted, paid, and archived. All of that leads into really a profit center in your AP department rather than a cost center, because you're bringing money, capturing discounts that the company otherwise would not have captured.